Hello everybody, we're ready for the second card in the card class for April. So this one is featuring the Mixed Florals designer series paper and the whole entire suite, and I just love this suite. So pretty with the tulips, and there's a big daisy stamp too. In fact, we're gonna make use of our giant block because this stamp is so huge. It looks like it's small when you look at the cover, but when you get inside, these stamps are really large, and there's some beautiful large dies as well. So look at how big those are. So there's the pretty daisy. And so just a really lovely suite. And this is one of those mega suites. So it has some great sentiments that go with it. And we're going to use the sentiments on the next two cards and some labels. All right, so let's get started on this one. This one I wanted to show you before we get started. This is our fun fold, and this is how it's fun. It has this cute little slider piece that opens up like this. So I'm making anniversary cards because in another month or two I have a bunch of siblings that with anniversaries, so I always send them a fun card, and I think that'll be great. So I'm going to do anniversary, but if you want to do birthday or anything else, then that's fine. We have in-person class tomorrow, so you can choose your own sentiment. If you'd like to purchase a kit, you'll be using your own sentiments anyways, so you can decide what you'd like to do there. So let me hold up instructions for this fold in case you're watching just the video. So can you see it? Yeah, there we go. There's the instructions for the scoring and cutting. So really it's pretty simple. You're just kind of making a modified gatefold card, but it's not meeting at the center. It's actually going to be overlapping a little bit. So where did I put my bone folder? So you just got a thick basic white background, and it's going to be overlapping like that, and then you're going to put your slider piece in. So first let's just go ahead and assemble the basic card base. And I wanted to point out that for the embossing on this top piece, I used the Plaster Painting 3D folder, and these folders are huge, so you can use them for all sorts of projects, and they will go through any of the larger machines, like our Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine. It fits perfectly. So anyhow, it's also a 3D folder, so it gets that really deep embossed look. So let me get that glued on, and I do like to use the liquid glue for when I have dry embossing, and kind of liberally, so that that'll stick down. And then I've got some designer series paper for the bottom piece, and this is again from the Mixed Florals suite. It's got some really pretty paper featuring the flowers that we have in the stamp set. And if you have a kit, I may have also sent you a piece of the designer paper that has the flowers on it, so you can use that, or you can use a floral stamp of your own for this little piece here. So for stamping, I'm going to use my Pierce mat underneath because it's a photopolymer stamp, and I want to make sure that it stamps well, and it's such a large stamp as well. I'm going to stamp that, and we're only going to stamp a portion of it, so just the top part there. So let me ink that up with my Memento black pad, and we'll just need the top part. And I have a piece of scrap paper here. The Pierce mat is easy to clean off, but this way, you know, it looks like I think I need a little more ink there. If it looks a little bubbly, then you probably need more ink. And you can also make sure, if it's a brand new stamp, that you kind of scrunch it around a little bit on your cleanup pad or a scrap piece of paper to get off any coating that would be on that stamp that would cause it not to stamp well. So did I do that okay? Yeah, that turned out good. All right, let's get that big stamp out of the way, and then I'm going to pull in my Stampin' Write markers here. So they are right here, and let me tell you what colors I used. Let's see, light Calypso Coral and dark Calypso Coral. So I use those on the flowers. So I often start with a light and just put a kind of a large wash over the whole area there. So we'll do our tulips. And then I'll grab the darker color and add a little bit more of that. Actually, I think I'm going to use the darker end there. And then I actually also used a little, I think, Poppy Parade. So that's probably the light Poppy Parade. Add a little bit more color there. A little bit brighter color. More of a orangey tone to it. And then go back to my light color and do a little blending there. And I always, for my blending, I always use the bullet tip because the brush tip is very delicate, and you probably saw it when I opened up the one Calypso Coral. Somebody, maybe not me, but somebody had used it a little bit harshly, and it was getting a little bit ragged on the edges. And for blending, it takes a little bit of effort to get that blended around the edges. And I could go back with the darker one if I wanted to add like a little extra color, maybe not so liberally this time, on some of these shading lines. And again, I could go back and shade that some more if I wanted to kind of go back and forth till you get the look you like. Okay, so on the little white flowers, which I made yellow, I used Daffodil Delight. And so quick add my light color. And then I just added a little darker color to one side of it just to give it a little shadow and a little dimension there. And you can go back and shade that again if you want as well. And then I used, let's see, Shy Shamrock. I haven't used that one in a while. So Shy Shamrock for my leaves. Let me see if I want to use the brush tip or not. I guess in these large areas, I probably do want to use, you know what, I'm going to grab my scrap paper because I'm going to go off the edge here. I used my bullet tip a lot more than the brush tip because it's kind of delicate, and I use it mainly just for large areas like that. So, and I'm getting kind of close to some of the other flowers, so I'm going to switch to the bullet tip. So, and then you can press a little harder too, and not risk damaging the marker tip. Okay, and then I can go back in with my darker color and then add some shading if I wanted to add shading on one side, or even just where the lines are. So I'm not even going to go back and, oh, there's a leaf there I missed, and blend that. So you get the idea. So there's my sample. So I sort of did it about the same. So the blends markers are just so much fun because if you're not a colorer, and I am definitely not a colorer, they turn out really nice. And coloring has never been my thing, but I love these alcohol markers. They're just so nice and easy to use. All right, so then I've got my panel here, and I've got all my other things glued down here. Now comes the tricky part. I've got my little white panel that's going to be my slider here. And let's see. I'm actually going to pull this out just so you can see how it looks. And I was supposed to score these, and it doesn't really look like I scored it very well. So let me grab my scoreboard here. And we're scoring it at, let me just look at the instructions here. Pop-up piece, score at 1/2 inch. So let me just score that a little better. So if you have a kit, you might have to score that because apparently I forgot to score them. So that is actually going to attach to the top of the card there. And the bottom of it is going to be right in the crack. So that's going to be really easy to do. So what I'm going to do first, though, is stamp my sentiment, which I always do first because I have two sides to the paper. And invariably, if I stamp last, I will mess up. So I'm doing happy anniversary, as I said, and you can make a pencil mark where you think it should be. Play with going in and out of this little flap here, but probably towards the center seems to be okay on that. So it worked out for that one. So I'm not going to bother measuring or making my pencil mark, and hopefully all will be well. All right, so tear and tape is a good friend for this project because I don't want my liquid glue to be moving around. I want it to just be stuck in the right place and be done. So tear and tape on that little flat piece, and then on the edges of this piece, that's going to go up. So let me grab my backing off. This one, I don't know what it's called, but you could call it like a surprise pop-up card or something like that. There's so many different variations on pop-up cards, or a pop-up panel card. Okay, so I've got that all centered. So hopefully this will be good. I'm gonna put that side down there, put that side down there. And cross your fingers that I did it right. Yes! All right. It pops up and back down again. So isn't that fun? And now I just have to add my tulips to the top here. Okay, and I'm going to use my tear and tape again because I don't want to risk getting glue on the bottom because I don't want to glue my card shut. Have you ever done that? Oh, no, never. I'm going to put a couple of pieces, I think, just so it holds on there well. But I only want adhesive on the top. All right, we'll put that right in the center. And there we go. Happy anniversary, or whatever sentiment you choose. And it's ready to go, except for, of course, we need some gems. And I am loving the low profile gems. Have you tried those yet? So they just happen to be perfect colors for this card. And so we'll grab a couple of those and put them around next to my tulips, just to add a little sparkle. Oh, you know what would also be really fun is some Wink of Stella on those tulips too, to give them a little bit of extra oomph, extra sparkle. I'm going to use one of the little ones here too. Okay. There we go. It's done. Okay, there's our fun fold. Hope you enjoyed that project, and feel free to let me know if you have any questions, or try it with different paper, different stamps, or if you do like the mixed florals, you can grab them at my store, and I'll throw up the instructions there one more time for the cutting pieces. Okay, so done with this one, and we'll move on to the last card in just a minute. Happy crafting.